Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for coming today to this unique event. We have the pleasure of having tonight one representative of Etoy to talk to us all about their different projects. And now a small introduction about this fascinating group of European artists formed in 1994 with the name of Etoy. Etoy is a collaboration between digital artists from Europe whose main slogan is "Leaving Reality Behind." Etoy is a corporate sculpture and a shareholder company registered in the city of Zug, Switzerland, that uses corporate structures to maximize cultural values. Since 1994, Etoy is having the dominating model of the individual artist. The concept of the independent start and glorified genius is replaced by an abstract trademark, Etoy. Legendary for its digital hijack, Etoy also coordinated Toy War, a milestone in hacktivism, bringing down a multi-million.com operation and thus creating the most expensive performance in art history. A pioneer in container architecture inspired by the Internet's packet system, Etoy currently invests all resources in Mission Eternity, a digital cult of the dead and a long-term data archive focusing on pioneers of the information age. Etoy has won several international awards, including the Prix Ars Electronica in 1996, and as you will hear tonight, they have been routinely experimenting with the boundaries of art. Please join me welcoming Tsai from Etoy.
Thank you, Hannes. I see there is a lot of laptops back on. So let's open them again, see who's stronger. My name is Tsai. I'm representing Etoy Corporation, a company registered as shareholder company that has no other purpose than being art. I prepared a short clip to introduce the company. Sound, please.
Most corporations focus on financial profits. Etoy concentrates on the bigger picture. Etoy tries to open up new playgrounds and space for thinking and reflection. This involves a large potential for confusion, failure in the mainstream market, and a relatively high risk to lose a substantial amount of capital. The orange Etoy cargo tanks are walk-in web servers, show units, and modular office bricks that travel the real world in the same way data packages travel the internet. Every Etoy tank is a TCP/IP package traveling through space and time. Etoy uses the standardized cargo container transportation network that covers almost 80% of all transportation activities on planet Earth. Etoy puts all its seed capital, investments, and cash profits into the production of more art. This means Etoy does not plan to return financial dividends to investors. Etoy returns art, knowledge, and excitement. The Etoy Corporation was not established to distribute one message or one simple ideology. Etoy is a global corporate structure to reflect and impact human behavior and to maximize cultural value on planet Earth. Today, the Etoy Corporation is owned by more than 2,000 Etoy shareholders worldwide. The Etoy management consists of 6 directors who are in charge of the day-by-day business, which is currently conducted by about 4 female and 6 male regular Etoy agents in Europe, the USA, and Asia. Etoy puts all its seed capital, investments, and cash profits into the production of more art. This means Etoy does not plan to return financial dividends to investors. Etoy returns art, knowledge, and excitement. Thank you for spending time within the Etoy universe.
Oh, that's scary stuff. Hey, should we be worried about the kids in the audience?
No, it's all right. This is culture.
So the only product that Etoy sells on the art market is stock. If you want to own something of Etoy, you have to invest into it. You have to become part. Collectors and fans become shareholders. Here you see some situations, museum situations, how the stock look, the share certificates look. It's an important element, and all the stock are very individual. So each shareholder gets a certificate in return for his investment. This is not a fake, this is real. You can check it out on the website of the Chamber of Commerce of Zug, where we are registered. As a logical consequence, the Etoy history is represented as a stock chart. It's interactive, so you can see behind. This is a very provocative thing, at least in the art world. Here you see the same stock chart, building the installation of 144 stock certificates. In this setup, it was installed so people could directly buy from the wall in a museum. So the picture fell apart. About 60 people and institutions got part of Etoy. Is this extreme hacking? Not yet. It's just an art game. The following is not IT security hacking at all. What Etoy did back in 1996 is just a typical art game. We pretended to deliver something, but subverted the perception system. What happened? 1.5 million people, web tourists, got hijacked on their search for specific information by using the big search engines. This just flickered up for a few seconds. Etoy found a way to deactivate the back button of the browsers. People panicked. They shut down their computers, ripped off the telephone line from the wall. But of course, this is nonsense. We didn't hack anything except the perception. They were serving our website. We didn't invade anything. The trick was just to generate thousands and thousands of trap pages, websites that pretended to be about the information that people looked on the big search engines. The trap pages met the criteria that the search engines wanted, so to reach a high ranking, and then forwarded the user into the hijacked website. Etoy quickly had a huge audience back then, 1.5 million people, and won art prizes, like the Ars Electronica Award in 1996, because the jury liked the subversion of the search engines. Okay, then after that, we just totally changed. After entering the art world through the back door, real-world logistics was a new topic for Etoy. We did art shows all around the world, and we didn't want to invest into a typical studio or office space. So we became part of the global transportation network. This was perfect for Etoy because it fits to our aesthetics. The containers as nomadic pieces of architecture. And of course, the icon of globalization. So this is the Etoy headquarters, how it looks today in Zurich, made up of 6 cargo containers. Other containers are traveling the world permanently. You will see more about that later. The outside is totally standardized, so nothing changes. But inside, we have lots of different modifications for sleeping, for working, for very, very different purposes. But with the containers, we can also hack the traditional art spaces, like the museum. We become part of the power architecture of the museum institutions. And Etoy can occupy spaces in between the real space of the museum and the space in the streets, where also people access art that usually are afraid or against art. So they think it's a construction site, or I want to know what we are about to build here. Now, totally different topic. Let's move on. In 1999, Etoy got involved in a huge mess. An American company started to make pressure on Etoy. They had absolutely or almost the same name, and they offered a lot of money for the brand. But at the same time, they wanted to sue us for trademark dilution, digital terrorism, and so on. This legendary share certificate shows the last image that was actually shown on the Etoy website before an American judge shut it down in 1999. The text element is the court order saying that we have to pay $10,000 each day that we continued to run the website. I have a 6-minute video that can explain the whole complex thing a bit better.
Words as war, not words for war. That's hacktivism.
We should make no mistake that electronic civil disturbance does impose costs, and sometimes these are quite substantial. In the literature on this, some scholars suggest that the costs of even minor disruptions to electronic commerce run into the billions of dollars. Now, there are many ways to calculate costs, but let's just agree, it's costly to do this. This is why they're engaging in these kinds of virtual sit-ins. It's why civil disobedience has arisen in the 20th century. Because by stopping up the works, you impose costs and force people to pay attention to your point of view.
Those who refuse to listen do so at their peril. For proof, there's the legendary toy war of late 1999, where the campaigner's success was undisputed, but the cause celebrities was something else again.
Money and shares are the objects of our desire, but art is what we would kill for.
Etoy is a group of surreal business people. We are in the business of playing with corporate giants, with exciting playgrounds on the internet.
The American .com retail giant Etoys Inc. was one of the bright stars of the new economy. A toy shop with no shops, just a website and a warehouse. There was just one small hitch.
E-T-O-Y.
An obscure Zurich-based art group called Etoy, without an S, which already had the rights to the domain name etoy.com. The company thought $500,000 US should be enough to buy them off.
Our response to the first offer they made was a smiley face, an ASCII smiley face, which basically said, fuck off, we don't accept such a deal. If you want to do business with us, you have to be much more serious. After we rejected several offers, they showed us that they will sue if we don't sell. With the help of an American court, they cut off our website first, and later even the email system of the Etoy Corporation. At this point, Toy War started.
All hands man your battle station.
It was only a battle over a domain name after all, but for cyber activists, it was really about freedom on the internet. Only weeks before, many of the same people had taken part in the e-hippie Seattle protest. Now, tens of thousands joined in a massive online swarm to bring down the toy company.
What occurred was a decision to kind of strike at Etoys at the height of Christmas, like 12 days of Christmas action, you might say, where we would start having multi-mirrors around the globe doing a virtual sit-in on their site. We had some people from Hell.com doing psychological operations on the trading boards, telling people how bad this was going. RT Mark was sending out via their massive email list propaganda about destroying Etoys.com. The game was to bring their $84 share value down to zero in 12 days.
There were very interesting weapons. One interesting weapon was developed by an American software engineer. It was very anonymous. It allowed people to create virtual shoppers.
What the script did in the FloodNet manner of reloading was it reloaded a process of shopping. So it went through the entire arc of buying randomly, different objects, going all the way to the cash register, about to finish filling out the cash register form, and then canceling out of it and restarting again. Now, by the third or fourth day of the action, there was news reports that etoys.com was the most difficult site to order anything on.
You could stay at home and your virtual shopper was doing your work. And you could take a bus or anything, whatever you wanted. That was the first time you don't have to go to a demonstration like in the 80s. So it was fantastic to go for a walk and your toy soldier is fighting now against this big, huge company who wants to play with us, actually.
After exactly 81 days, Toy War was over. The whole thing became a disaster for their company. The share price crashed, so they lost more than $4 billion within 3 months. In March 2001, Etoys Incorporated filed for bankruptcy.
The Etoys conflict that occurred was a very significant event. The fact that the company did shut down, it was proof of concept. It demonstrated that a group of people taking part in a virtual protest, a cyber action, could impact a very large and well-off corporation at that point in time. And I think what it's done is it's kind of swelled the ranks, or if you will, and served as a great morale booster for all of the actions that have followed since.
So let's change topics again. This was all about gamification, as you can imagine. Now, after that, we said, let's do something very positive, something that maybe works with the same principles, but which is totally constructive. We decided to work with children. So this was not less controversial. Etoy Daycare, that we run since 2002, is all about involving children in the production of art. Kids are not just the target audience, but also become authors that produce art. Adults were never allowed to enter the system. So unfortunately, I cannot tell you too much about it because it's really a secret between us and the kids. But it's probably clear that this is all about the future of Etoy Corporation. One day, we will be retired, and then a new generation has to take over. And hopefully some of the, in the meantime, 3,000 baby agents will take our positions. We did that in many places, in Korea here, for instance, or in Torino, Italy, in Spain, in Amsterdam. Okay, moving from one pole of human life, from the children, the future of civilization, to the elder people, the past, the kind of bridge to the past. Etoy started to understand elderly people as memory systems, with huge capacity, by the way. In 2004, Etoy agents started to investigate the kind of data that human beings generate during their lives. Not just the data that are created on purpose, but all the data that make up our infosphere, things that we generate without even knowing. Etoy started to collect so-called Arcanum capsules and developed the Angel app, a code that stores the data on a very long-term, with a very long-term strategy, distributed on hundreds of mobile devices and laptops of ordinary people who want to contribute a small part of their hard disk. Relatives, for instance, or just people who are interested in the artistic process. By working with elderly people, we realized that the topic of death and the whole afterlife, we realized that this is perfect for Etoy. There is nothing more virtual.
Independent of religious beliefs and scientific speculation, Etoy's Mission Eternity explores life after death. The operation is based on facts. All we know for sure is that we leave behind mortal remains and a massive body of information. Dead human beings continue to exist as biomass and traces in the global memory, in many online services, in governmental databases, in family archives, in professional records, or as emotional data stored as electrical impulses in the brains of friends and families. Since 2004, the art group Etoy has been at work on Mission Eternity, a long-term operation that includes capturing, collecting, and publicly sharing personal information and the production of sculptures that embody this data. The Memorial Project tries to link the past, present and future, as well as the living and the dead. It rejects the simplicity of the traditional monument by involving a large number of authors and the user on a highly interactive level. Mission Eternity permanently rewrites its history and the history of its pilots. Mission Eternity pilots are human beings who contribute their personal data to the project.
So here is a manifestation of Mission Eternity. That's how it looks in the art space. That's automata, styrofoam spheres that actually host data of dead people. Automata are basically new bodies for the dead. Each body contains one specific element. For instance, the persona, part of the persona of a pilot, the father, the child, the mountain climber, the microfilm pioneer, and so on. The spheres contain robotic components that make the spheres roll around so they can move in space, and also speakers. So they can talk, because speaking and moving are most important manifestations of life. So as soon as something talks to us, we are sure it's alive. Or if it moves, we start to interact with it. We see that very well with children having a lot of fun. Okay, let's move on to another manifestation. We were getting aware that this is way too much data focused. So we wanted to bring in the hardware of the human body, the mortal remains. And we got some from a very prominent pilot. What we do is we mix the ashes, the mortal remains, with concrete and a bit of technology, and then insert it into a structure, into a new proposal for a monument that is an anti-monument in some way. The Mission Eternity sarcophagus, a 20-foot cargo container again, outfitted with 17,000 LEDs that we can individually talk to with our open source software. You can see up there the mortal remains of Timothy Leary that was integrated in 2008. On the immersive surface of the inside of the sarcophagus, we can display lots of different pieces of information, very abstract stuff, patterns and statistics and numbers and text and images, even video footage. People can interact with the dead inside. It's also a place where we do ceremonies. So here, for instance, you see the integration of Timothy Leary during the Arco Art Fair in Spain, which was, again, quite provocative for the art audience. The sarcophagus is permanently traveling the planet. It was on mountaintops in Switzerland, like here, or in very urban spaces, urban areas in Asia, in the US, and in Europe, or in the desert, in Nevada desert, that you can see here. With this system, we try to hack the last resting place. Thank you very much.